what we do here is go back.
This is the Porsche Panamera GTS. Panamera is the four-door sedan from Porsche that was really maligned when it first came out. A lot of people thought it was a humpback whale-looking sedan, but as more people have tried this car, it really has started to grow on the general public. I love the Panamera, all forms of them. There's the 6-cylinder, the 8-cylinder called S, the turbo, which is the turbocharged V8, there's a hybrid now, and this, the GTS, a V8 normally aspirated with a bit more juice. Not only does this car have more power, it also has some aesthetic features that make it look more aggressive, like blacked out headlights. You also have a more aggressive front grille that's blacked out as well. This particular car has optional 20-inch wheels and painted side skirts down the side. The wheels are over $3,000. The regular wheels on the GTS are 19 inches. This paint job is over $3,500, but it certainly looks spectacular, and it's been turning heads everywhere it goes. This Panamera GTS has a more hunkered down stance. That's because it comes standard with PASM, basically their pneumatic suspension system that has this car sitting 10 millimeters lower than the regular Panamera with a flick of a switch, and you go into the Sport Plus setting, it drops the suspension down 15 millimeters. Then for convenience, if you're going over bumps at low speeds, you can raise the suspension by 30 millimeters to make it easier getting in and out of parking spaces going up and down curbs. And here's the angle of the Panamera that a lot of people rejected when the car first came out. It's got a long high roof that slopes back to almost 911 looking rear end. The benefit of this is that you have room in the back seat for passengers 6 feet and over, which is really quite remarkable. Try that in an Audi A7. Plus you've got the automatic liftgate at the back. For people who are used to driving an SUV like a Cayenne, you have all of the space back here, but you have the sporty sedan feel of the Panamera. Now, I've been on record as saying that the Panamera interior is probably one of the best in the business. The materials and the quality and the finish in here is absolutely first rate. Beautiful buttons, everything works just nicely. You've got the big fat steering wheel here. With this new GTS, you get the surfaces covered in what's called Alcantara. For the average person, what does that mean? Fake suede. You get the inserts here on the seats, the steering wheel, the headliner. And what does that do for anybody that's into a performance car? You don't want leather seats in a performance car. You actually slide around on those. You want a fabric or a material like this Alcantara because it actually grips you when you're going around the corners. Not crazy about an Alcantara steering wheel. I would still prefer to have a leather unit. This particular car has the brushed aluminum center here for the PDK transmission and the carbon fiber inserts. The seats are ultra supportive with many adjustments, including adjustments for the bolsters, not only on the sides but on the bottom. You can also extend the bottom of the seats out. Now, speaking of seats, I mentioned it on the outside, but the back seat might be one of the better seats to ride in any Panamera. There's plenty of legroom back there. The headroom is ample because of that extended, elongated roofline. It really does work, but some people still think it looks awkward. Now, before we get on the road, I should point out that this car comes standard with Sport Chronos package, which means that you get the sport suspension adjustments. Comes with a sport mode that changes the throttle positioning, also the shift control for the PDK automatic transmission, makes the car more livelier. Then you go to Sport Plus, it firms up the suspension even more, opens up the throttle even more with less throttle effort, and it also opens up the parameters of the stability management system, which allows the car to get a little bit sideways when you're going around corners. Makes it more fun, especially for someone who wants to go to the track. Probably not the case with this car. So what I want to show you, which is a lot of fun, is to put the car in Sport Plus. That is the highest setting, the most aggressive. Leave it in drive, put your foot on the brake. We're going to do what's called launch control. Foot's on the brake, you mat the throttle and let go, and whoa, away you go. And that gets you to 100 kilometers an hour in 4.5 seconds. And you're able to go that fast because this car has 30 more horsepower than the regular Panamera 4S. And it has more torque as well. So it really makes the car that much more drivable. In addition to that, it comes standard with the sport exhaust that just sounds fantastic. The way I describe this car is it sounds horny and goes like hell. The hard reality with this GTS is nobody's going to take a Panamera to the track. They're going to take their Carrera or their Cayman or their Boxster to the track. This is about having a beautiful luxury status symbol car that has more power. Mercedes has been doing this for a long time with their AMG cars that have monstrous V8 engines with superchargers or turbochargers in them. Porsche's just getting into the game. They already have a very dynamic car in the way that it handles and steers. Now it's got a little bit more grunt. And I prefer a normally aspirated V8 engine to the turbocharged unit. The turbo is great. Actually, of the bunch, I think that the regular 4S is probably the best all-around car considering how much these cars cost. One thing about this car, it really is more performance-oriented than many other luxury sedans in the marketplace, but it has that long wheelbase. You have to be careful when you go around corners and when you're trying to apex a corner that you don't clip the back wheel on the curb. The great thing about that exhaust system is that you can switch it off. It's got the baffles in there, so you can have the aggressive sound or you can have a more mellow note if you're doing a lot of long-distance traveling, because having the exhaust sort of rumbling in the background can give you a bit of a headache sometimes on a long trip. Owning any Porsche is not an inexpensive proposition. The Panamera is really quite expensive. It competes with S-Class Mercedes and 7 Series from BMW in the $100,000 plus range. This GTS is almost $127,000 to start. Then you have to add on things like the paint, the 20-inch wheels, the Bose stereo, some other features. This one easily racked up to $148,000. You get more horsepower, you get more standard equipment than the regular S, but not as much as the turbo. It's kind of a halfway measure. Not sure if the go fast looks on the outside are going to appeal to everybody, especially the ones that want that real luxury feel from a car like, say, an S-Class or a 7 Series BMW. But if you want a little more punch in your Panamera, this GTS delivers it in spades.